Stay with me! Don't go out of print! How else will people learn these tricks? Don't go! Stay with me!
No!
It's always sad news when a book goes out of print. But the good news is, in this episode of Erudite Magic, we are celebrating a book that is now back in print. Yes, Williamson's Wonders is back, but the price has increased significantly, and we're going to talk about that in this review. After all, we need to decide whether this reprint is worth your hard-earned dollars. If you want to save money on this book, then stay tuned to the end of the episode and I'll share with you how you can purchase it at a discount. No doubt, like many of you, I first became familiar with the name David Williamson via the World's Greatest Magic specials that aired in the 90s. But before all that, he was racking up awards that gave him the credentials to publish some of his own work with noted magical author Richard Kaufman. In fact, he placed first at the IBM Sleight of Hand competition in 1981. He was the first person to receive the Gold Cups Award of Excellence in Close-Up Magic. He's won Sleight of Hand Magician of the Year multiple times, in addition to other accolades from the world-famous Magic Castle. You get the picture. Sure, he's won all these awards for his technical ability. If you've seen him perform, you know that he's drop-dead funny. David Williamson is a rare combination of technical ability and entertainment, and he shared some of his best material, at least as of 1989, with us in Williamson's Wonders. This book is a magic classic. It was out of print by the time I started collecting magic books, but it just came back into print a few weeks ago, so if you missed your opportunity to buy it before, now is the time to do so. But let's you and me talk about what's in it so that you can make an informed decision about whether the material is for you. Almost everything in here is for close-up style work. Sure, some of the material can be adapted if you have a camera with a screen, but you're going to find that most of this is more comfortable in a more intimate environment, like the kind you would find at either a walk-around or a parlor-sized audience. A lot of it has to do with the material in the book. You're going to find that most of this is card and coin related. There are a couple of other things other than cards and coins, like a silk vanish, a knife through a handkerchief, and of course David's 2-cup cups and balls routine. However, if you're familiar with David Williamson and maybe have seen some of his other videos that he's released, you're not going to find anything in this book about his ropes or rings and ropes type routine, nor will you find work on his salt pour. From the research I've done, the reprint is exactly the same as the older edition. There's nothing new added or taken away. The material in the book shouldn't be too difficult for the amateur magician. As David has pointed out in another video I produced, he places a high priority on practical magic, material that works in the real world for real audiences. There is no doubt that David has used the material in this book in real shows, so there's nothing that requires knuckle-busting chops to pull off. If you have a passable double lift, a good Elmsley count, a decent palm, and the ability to practice, you should be fine. Of course, you'll also learn sleights along the way. He teaches multiple applications of his striking vanish in this book. There's a discussion of his method of the top change, as well as the Mercury card fold. But this book is firmly within the intermediate camp. Basically, none of the routines in this book rely on specialty gimmicks, so as long as you learn the sleight of hand and you have access to a pack of playing cards and some coins, this stuff is always ready to go. And as far as some of my favorite routines, stay tuned to the end of the video and I'll share with you what some of my favorite tricks are. Now, although the material is all practical, real world, ready to go, sleight of hand based, this is a relatively small book, especially for the reprinted price. In fact, speaking of the page count, there are only 96 pages. On the one hand, though, all of the explanations are concise and efficient, meaning there's not a lot of fluff or filler here that is designed just to give you an expanded page count. And you won't have any trouble remembering complex steps to perform these miracles. Everything is straightforward with no excess fat. That said, there aren't all that many effects in the book, especially by today's standards, with 23 tricks taught. And the price went from what was $40 back when it was originally published to now $60 for the reprint version. Of course, that's a significant improvement from the used market prices that I saw were typical, around $75 to $100. But when you compare it with more recent publications, books like Jean-Pierre Vallerino, which retails for $65 and is a much thicker book, also teaching sleight of hands with cards, higher production values, Or if you go $5 down the scale, you're looking at a book like Nick Defat's Offbeat, which has a very broad spectrum of different types of material. Now, I'm not suggesting that either of those books are better than Williamson's Wonders. I'm just stating that if trick count or page count is important to you and the volume of the material, then you may be looking for other alternatives to this. However, there's a reason that this book has been sought after for a long time in the out-of-print used book market, fetching some of these exorbitant sums, and that's because people understood the power of practical material. Too often we buy a book and yes, we've got a ton of stuff to look at, but how many new tricks are you really going to add, especially if they're not performance pieces from a working pro? So as you're evaluating whether or not the book is too skinny for your tastes, do consider the quality of the material. However, if you still want to buy the book, but you want to save off of the $60, then you'll be delighted to know that the sponsor of this week's video, Don's Magic and Books, is offering 10% off. That's right, if you buy Williamson's Wonders through Don this week and use the code STRIKE at checkout, then you can get this book for $54. Of course, Don offers free shipping in the United States if you buy $25 or more of books, so you'll also get free shipping on Williamson's Wonders. But you don't need to stop with Williamson's Wonders because you've already qualified for free shipping. Don offers a ton of other books already at great prices. And if you're looking for books that are out of print or hard to find, Don is the top place on the internet to find these rare gems. So be sure to check out his website via the link down in the description below. Tell him I sent you by buying Williamson's Wonders this week using code STRIKE at checkout. Back to the review. Where this book really shines is in the quality of the material. All of it is simple to do and relies on no special gimmicks, so you are always ready to roll. And most of these tricks are versions of classics. So David will show you through his process how to take a trick and make it become your own. If you've made it this far in the video, let me share some of my favorite tricks with you and why I like them. Probably one of the best known David Williamson creations, the Torn and Restored Transposition, is a classic with multiple climaxes. While I generally don't love pick-a-card tricks, this one is exceptional, with several features that I do love in a card trick, specifically tearing and restoring a pasteboard. The striking vanish and its variations taught in this book is also a practical, easy-to-do, impromptu miracle that you can do anytime that you have a Sharpie and a coin, or you can adapt it into your own cups and balls routine, or even taking a deck and making a coin vanish into the cellophane on the deck. 51 Cards to Pocket is a comedy legend for a card trick, and again is totally unlike anything else your participants may have seen. Finally, the famous 3-card trick is a version of Edward Victor's 11-card trick that can be done now with nothing more than a palm and an Elmsley count. So if you've held off on performing a trick like this because of the kind of complex or difficult sleight of hand, then you now have an easy-to-do version here that can get some laughs and be a great intro for your next set of effects. That should be enough to get you started, and if you got value out of this video, then sound off down in the comments below or hit that like button and let me know if you got what you need. If I didn't answer all of your questions, be sure to drop a comment down below and I'll get back to you with the answer. As always, my friends, I appreciate you watching, and until next time, keep reading.